Owen Worley, student number 2500916.
Pete Clark, I'm going to be asking the questions for the professional discussion. Owen, what personal skills do you use when working with customers or participants to help build positive relationships? List 3 of them, please.
So I'd use teamwork, because when you're working with customers, colleagues, you need to be able to have a good sense of trust with them. You've got to be able to work together, and that would help with building a good relationship. I'd also use a bit of empathy, because you need, sometimes with customers, they might not be as fast as some people, as same with colleagues, so it might take them a little bit longer to work things out, get the right money out, or just go about the day in general. And I'd also go with communication. When you're working with colleagues, you need a good sense of communication so you can get things across quite clearly. And the same thing with customers. You need to be able to get, like, say you need to get things across, like the price of something, the change that they're supposed to get.
Yeah, the information.
Yeah, all the information that they need. Yeah.
Thank you. How do professional behaviours such as being reliable, respectful or well presented help you make a good impression on customers or clients? Again, 3 examples, please.
Well, being respectful when it comes to customers and clients, it always helps build a good relationship, so they always might come back. They might see you as a good person and think, all right, well, he's quite good, so I'm going to go back to that shop, I'm going to go back to that dealership, anything like that. Being reliable is a good one, because in order for you to build a relationship with customers and clients, you need to be quite reliable. So they need to know that you're always going to be there if they need to buy something, or if they need something carrying out. They need to know that you're going to be reliable. Well presented. So when you're being well presented, you need to be well presented when it comes to customers and clients, as you need to be confident. You need to help them make the best decisions. So being well presented will help that, because they might pick you if they see you like being confident and talking to multiple customers and doing the right thing.
Why is it important to always act professionally when working in the sport and active leisure industry? 2 reasons, please.
So it's important to always act professionally when you're in the sport and leisure industry, because you never know, someone could get injured. You need to follow the rules and regulations of that place. Say you're playing football, there's rules and regulations put in place to help you in the sport and leisure facility. It's another one would be. Another example would be if customers come in, if you're acting professionally to a customer, they might recommend you to other places, they might recommend you to your manager, they could recommend you to anyone. So it's always good to act professional in these kind of situations in the sport and leisure industries.
What examples of sustainable practices can be used in sport and leisure activities to help reduce energy use, waste or pollution?
Some sustainable practices that can be used in sport and leisure activities to help reducing waste, pollution and energy is, like, say you're playing football, for instance, for waste you don't want to be playing on a football pitch and there's like plastic bottles on the pitch, bits of string, bits of tape off people's socks, little bits of string. You don't want any of that on the pitch, so you want to make sure that you pick it up and use the right bins and make sure you're recycling the proper things. Pollution is the same thing really. You don't want things on the pitch. You don't just want to be walking about, like say you're in the gym for example and you see weights on the floor and and everything's in the wrong spot, that could cause major injuries. Like you could trip over, fall, and you can possibly break a bone, head injury, anything like that. And then for energy use, people tend to keep lights on for a very long time, and especially in the winter, people put the heating on quite a lot. So they could maybe keep the heating on for a little bit, and then turn it off, and then put it back on like maybe half an hour later, and that'd help reduce energy use as well.
Thank you. Why is being environmentally responsible part of professional behaviour in the sport and active leisure industry? Discuss one example.
Why being environmentally responsible is a professional behaviour in sport and active leisure industry. So when you being environmentally safe is a good personal behaviour to have, as if you leave things about, say you're in the gym, you leave things about, you get injured, it collects dirt, which then forms into dust, which people breathe in, so it can cause quite bad things to happen. If people have asthma, someone could have an asthma attack, stuff like that. Yeah.
Anything specific about anywhere specific there? Was that about
Woodley Sports.
Okay. How do personal skills such as communication, cooperation and compromise affect how well you work as part of a team with your colleagues?
So when you're working with your colleagues, you need a good sense of communication, as you'll need to get things through to the other people. You will also need to tell them how things happen, what they need to do that day, what they don't need to do that day, what time they can go home, what time they can come in, who to work with and who not to work with. You also need to have a good sense of cooperation with certain people, because certain people might have anger issues, they might lose their temper quite easily, they might also not be able to understand quite easily. It might take them a little bit more time, and then you need to be able to compromise with them, because someone might not like doing something but they still have to do it. So if you come up with a compromise, like do this for 20 minutes and then come back and then go on a 5-minute break, that's a good compromise.
Yeah. How do professional behaviours like reliability, honesty and respect influence the relationships you build with external stakeholders such as customers, clients or partner organisations?
So reliability is a good personal behaviour to have when you're talking to stakeholders. So someone like a customer, you'd always have to, a customer would want you to be reliable. You will need to be able to build a good relationship with them. You need to be reliable, and so they know that you're there. They know that you're always going to be there for a sale. They always know that you're going to be there to help them out. So that's why you need to be reliable.
You need to go and figure that out.
Honesty, being honest with a client or a customer is always a good thing, because someone might ask you what the price is or something. They might ask you what they need to do if they're doing well. So you being honest with them will help build a good relationship. And respect. If you respect a customer or a client, it's always good, because you need to be able to withhold a good relationship with them. So respecting them will give it. Respect works both ways. So if you respect them, they will respect you, and if you don't respect them, then they won't respect you. So giving people respect is always a good thing to do when you're working.
Can you give an example of a time when using good personal skills or professional behaviour helped you build or maintain positive relationship with colleagues or external partners?
So at one point in my life, I was walking home, and me and my mates came across someone on the floor, and it turns out it was an old man. So all three of us decided to help him up and help him get home. But it wasn't the easiest task because he was rather old. I think he was 70. He only lived like 2 minutes away, but he'd just been to the pub and he fell over and he couldn't get back up. So me and my mates grabbed one of his arms each, and then my other mate got behind him, put his hands on his back, and we helped him get up. But he couldn't plant his feet properly, so we had to plant our feet in front of his to help him get up. And then when he got up, he was like gripping onto our arms, and he was like repeatedly saying thank you and all this. And then my mate who was stood behind him, we realised that he had a little cut on his head from when he fell over. So we asked him if he wanted us to ring an ambulance for him. He said no, but we didn't listen, because in that situation you never know. If he's had a few drinks, he was saying to us like he's gonna crawl up the stairs and all this. So yeah, he only lived like 2 minutes away, but obviously because he wasn't very stable, he had a cane, he wasn't very stable, and he was probably shook up a bit. It took us a good like 10-15 minutes to get him home, but I think that shows a good sense of like reliability and honesty.
Yeah, communication and patience.
I don't think many people would have helped him out in that situation, especially in this day and age, when most people might have just walked past him. They might have asked him if he's okay, but not done anything about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that shows a good sense of reliability and honesty.
Yeah. Can you give an example of a time when using good personal skills or professional behaviour helps you build and maintain a positive relationship with colleagues or external partners? What could happen to relationships with colleagues or external stakeholders if someone showed poor communication or professional behaviour?
So if you're working with someone, like a client, you will always need to show good behaviour. But if you show poor behaviour, it reflects badly not on just you, but also on the company that you're working for. So people may think, oh well, so-and-so's he's been quite rude to me, or she's been quite rude to me, so I'm not going to come back here again. That's a loss of money, and it's also a loss of interest, that sense of reliability as well. So they know that you're not there. So also having a poor communication with a customer is never good, because you won't be able to get things across properly. So if you're quite stubborn and rude towards a customer, it never helps, because they could be asking you a question of where something is, and you'll know, but you won't give them the right answer. You'll either just stand there, or just completely ignore them, or just give them the wrong answers in general.
Which personal skills and professional behaviours do you think are most effective for building and maintaining positive relationships with both colleagues and external stakeholders, and why?
A good personal skill to have when you're talking to maintain a good relationship with a client is... Well, a good personal skill to have would be communication, as you'll need to get things across whilst you're trying to maintain a good relationship with people. Such as colleagues, clients, and customers. So having a good sense of communication would be telling them things that happen during the day, like at work, things that you've done in the past. And then a good professional behaviour would be like always showing respect to a client or a customer, because that, you never know, that may just be the pushing factor of getting them back the next time round. So yeah.
What are the possible positive effects of using good communication, teamwork and cooperation when leading others or working alongside colleagues, and what could be negative effects if these skills are lacking?